This is number 1 in a series of lectures on English pronunciation. It's very thorough, complete, and well done. Study this and you will be able to speak English fluently without an accent. English is not an easy language to pronounce because its origin is many languages. Its primary origin is that of the Germanic language, German. It was later influenced by Latin and by Norman French. English has preserved many of the original sounds and also has preserved the original spelling from the root of the word. Consequently, the spelling does not coincide with the pronunciation. So it's very important for you to study this series, for it will help you in being able to pronounce English well.
Video 2, English consonants, graphemes, and the IPA. Part 1. What is the IPA? The IPA stands for the International Phonetic Alphabet. It is a visual way to represent the phonemes that we will be learning in this video series. These are not letters, like those in the English alphabet, but phonetic symbols used to represent sounds. There are over 100 phonetic symbols in the IPA. As mentioned in the first video, English has around 44 phonemes, but only 26 letters. This means that there are many different letter combinations to represent a particular sound, which can be confusing to students as they try to learn these sounds formally. In the beginning, the IPA will be a very helpful tool in helping us learn about and discuss those sounds throughout the video series. Let's look at an example of how the IPA works. Below is the IPA symbol for the sh sound, as in the word ship. The IPA can be a little bit confusing to learn at first because many of the IPA symbols look like their English alphabet counterparts. For example, the IPA symbol N looks exactly like the letter N. In order to differentiate them, the IPA symbols use these slash marks before and after to indicate that this is to be pronounced as a phoneme, not as a letter. Part 2. What is a grapheme? As mentioned in the first video, a phoneme was the smallest unit of sound that makes sense. But that doesn't actually tell us how to spell the sound in English. Even though we have letters in English, some of the sounds we will be learning cannot be spelled with just one letter. Also, some letters may have more than one pronunciation. Thus, we need a better way to represent the sound in actual written English. The written way to express a phoneme in language is called a grapheme. For example, let's look at the earlier IPA example. This sound is usually spelled SH. Thus, SH is one grapheme of the IPA symbol represented above. However, You also hear this sound in the word nation. Thus, the TI in this word can also be represented with the same IPA symbol. Now we have discovered two graphemes of the same sound. Please note that the letters TI do not always produce this sound. For example, in the word tie. We will be presenting every sound in English in this video series using the IPA. But we will also be using a few graphemes to illustrate how to write these sounds in English. For a more complete list of this information, please look in the About section of this video on our YouTube channel. Part 3. What are consonants? The English alphabet can be divided into two basic groups: consonants and vowels. We will also use these designations to help introduce their phonemic representations as well. There are 21 single consonant letters in the English alphabet. Let's say them together using their names in the alphabet. B, C, D, F, G, H, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, V, W, X, Y, Z. English consonants, both single letters and digraphs and trigraphs, more about these in the next video, can be divided into two basic pronunciation groups: voiced and voiceless. Voiced consonants. A voiced consonant is one where you use your vocal cords to produce the sound. Look at the illustration below. Here are your vocal cords. Now make the sound mm. Put your fingers here on your vocal cords. Mm. Do you feel them vibrate? That's because this sound is voiced. Mm. Voiceless consonants. A voiceless consonant is one where you do not use your vocal cords, but instead use air to produce the sound. Look at the illustration below. Make the sound f. Place your fingers in front of your mouth. Do you feel air coming out? That's because this is a voiceless sound. Single consonant sounds refer to how many phonemes are needed to produce the actual consonant itself. Out of the 21 alphabet consonants, 19 are single consonant sounds. We are going to learn those sounds first. Follow along and imitate the movements that you see in the video. Voiced consonant sounds. B, b, boy. D, d, dog. G, g, go. j, j, jump. Ol, ol, long. Mm, me. Mm, no. Er, run. V, view. W, when. Y, you. Z, zoo. Voiceless consonant sounds. K or s. K, s. Cat. City. F, fill. His. K, k, kit. P, p, pie. S, s, C. T, t, toe. Multiple consonant sounds refer to the idea that some consonants involve more than one phoneme. Out of the 21 single consonant letters from the alphabet, there are 2 letters that require multiple consonant sounds. Watch and imitate. Multiple consonant sounds, single letter. Qu, qu, quick. Ks, ks, box. In this video, we are focusing only on the 21 single-letter consonants from the alphabet. In the next video, we will learn about digraphs and trigraphs, which involve more than one letter to produce the grapheme. Part 4. English word origin and consonant spelling. Recall that in the first video, we discussed that English began as an Indo-European language, specifically belonging to the Germanic family of languages. As English continued to develop, there wasn't complete agreement as to how to spell words as they entered into the language. Also, many words that we still have today were pronounced very differently hundreds of years ago. That's because in the beginning, English was a more consonant-based language. However, over time this began to change. English became a more vowel-based language, something we will discuss in greater detail in future videos. Eventually, consonants became less important and vowels became more prominent. But English preserved many of these earlier spellings because they had become associated with the meaning of the idea that was being represented. We will use one word to demonstrate this historical evolution using an entry from dictionary.com. Look below. The word is knee. But you will notice that the word came into English a long time ago, before 900 AD. And as you start at the beginning of the origin, which actually is here, the word actually began a lot longer than 900 AD. In the beginning, the word knee was most likely pronounced with the K sound at the beginning, the K sound. The vowels double E would have been pronounced differently, too. In fact, the word was spelled with only one E instead of two. Now we do not pronounce the K. We say that it is silent. Why did English keep the letter K instead of changing the spelling to something easier? Because that spelling had connection to an actual word. English is called a conservative historical language. It preserves its history in its written form. As mentioned earlier in this video, English has many different graphemes to represent the different sounds we use. In the case of the phoneme represented below, using the IPA symbol N, we can say that this sound has at least two different graphemic representations. The letter N as in nation, and KN as in knee. However, the second example is very rare and is used only in a handful of words. Spelling tip: the crazier the spelling, the older the word. Part 5. Review. The International Phonetic Alphabet, or IPA, is a direct way to represent the approximately 44 sounds of English. However, there are several different ways to spell these sounds, which can be confusing to students trying to learn how to write in English. A grapheme is a way to spell the phonemic representations illustrated by the IPA. However, it is important to know the word itself in order to know how to spell it. Because English is a conservative historical language, many older words contain parts of their original spelling. For example, in the word knee, the K used to be pronounced. Now the K is silent, but because there are other words spelled in a similar way, for example, know, night, knife, we can say that the grapheme KN is a representation of the IPA symbol N. Once again, it is important to mention that we have helpful websites designed to help you improve your speaking, pronunciation, and vocabulary, which can be found at Kenton ESL's web educational website series. Also, we would like to recommend that you view Rachel's English on YouTube, a very helpful video series produced specifically for pronunciation issues. In our next video, we will continue learning the remaining consonant sounds in English, called digraphs and trigraphs. See you next time for video 3, consonant digraphs and trigraphs.